Call to order this January 28th, 2026 meeting of the Public Safety Committee. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderwoman Harder.
Here.
Alderman Pluska.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have a chance to look at everybody had a chance to look at it? More importantly, does anybody have any changes they want to make? Seeing none, the agenda will stand as submitted. The next item on the agenda are citizen comments. This is our first opportunity in this meeting for anybody here in the meeting room or online can address this committee with regard to any issue concerning public safety. You'll be given up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourself by name and address.
I don't have anyone online.
Thank you. I'll close citizen comments and move on to the reports of the committee. As chairman, I do not have a report. Alderwoman Sims.
No report.
Thank you. Alderman Gould.
Only report I had is just, I thank you for everybody, all their efforts clearing the streets. I think that, and not only that, the pathways to the Rogers Parkway and our trail system, with the amount of snow that we received, it's pretty remarkable that within a short period of time, we can start seeing some dry pavement like we are. So thank you for all that effort.
Well said. Alderwoman Harder.
I do have a question for the police. Apparently, someone was going around taking a picture of a few condos in the front, and this woman came down and she said, "Why are you taking a picture in front of my house?" And she said, "Well," and she kind of flashed a bag, and she said, "It's because of an occupancy permit, and to see who lives where or whatever." And she goes, "Well, you can't tell by looking at the door." So I just want to bring it to your attention. Brentwood Forest doesn't know about it. Bola said they weren't aware of it, so I'm just putting it on your...
And when that happened?
Today.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, I mean, it could be something that we just don't know about, but...
You know what address it happened at?
No. Oh, wait a minute.
I can get with you and check
It's
it.
Oriole Place, I believe.
Okay. We'll check on it.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
But other than that, I have no report. Other than thank you for the streets.
Thank you. Number 5 is the city administrator's report. There's a listing heading, but
So we will be reporting under the departmental report just on the winter storm and the city's response to that.
at first I thought you said winner.
Oh, winter?
The winner.
Winner, we are winners.
Yes, absolutely. We're all winners. You get a trophy, and you get a trophy. Number 6 are the department reports. Indeed, the winter storm report. Is that Dan? Is it going to be, or is it?
I think Chief can start.
Oh, okay,
and then
great,
roll through.
terrific. We had a snow event.
We had 2 within 24 hours, actually, which, you know, along with the cold weather, obviously the freezing temperatures, we had back-to-back snowstorms. From the policing side, during that 48-hour period, we had 48 incidents we responded to and handled during that period of time. I think it was a bit of a blessing that it happened on Saturday, and we got away from the work crowd, which helped us a lot as it goes to with regard to traffic. So most people, you know, I think they were at home. So we didn't see a lot of traffic. We only handled 2 accidents, one of which was a very minor accident related to snow. The other one wasn't. So we in terms of impact on the city, it was minimal. Obviously, our officers were out in the cold weather, running the streets and doing what they do. So, but we had no major issues other than navigating the streets. We were asked by BOLA to give updates on a regular basis, which our officers did, and Public Works, according to the officers that were out on the street, did a fantastic job, and they worked well with our police department as well when they called and asked for particular areas to be hit that were icy or whatever the case may be. So I think the people from Public Works that were running those trucks did a great job for the city. Did you want me to go into my report now, or how you want to do that?
You want to do the rest of it with Public Works?
Yes, so,
Okay.
Ed, you're next.
Thanks, Chief.
Use mine.
Yours is probably better than mine. Okay, so our department operations began at noontime
on Saturday. So we made a decision to hire in 2 additional personnel to staff our UTV. That was essentially to assist the ambulance in accessing addresses and also to help with patient loading. Additionally, if we would receive a non-emergency call that the fire truck would normally run on, and if the UTV was capable, we would send those 2 folks out and limit the exposure to the humongous fire truck on the slick streets. East Central Dispatch went into emergency operation procedures, which automatically limited the number of vehicles that were responding to calls anyway. So as an example, an automatic alarm would get 2 engines and a battalion chief. It would just got a single engine during emergency response. Life threats were still engine and ambulance as usual. If we were to get a life threat in Brentwood, the ambulance, the engine, and the UTV would go as well. 2 paramedics on that UTV, so extra set of hands working. Essentially, during the 48 hours, we ran 8 calls for service. 3 of those were assist out to other agencies. And we really didn't experience any calls of significance related to the storm with the exception of 1, and that was a frozen sprinkler pipe down in 533 Hanley Industrial, and that was still flowing unbeknownst to us. Still on Monday, we shut the valve off. The domestic water supply split into 2, so supplied the fire suppression side and then domestic for sinks and toilets. The valve on the sprinkler side did not seat correctly, although we cranked it down all the way. There was still water flowing through the system, so the drain was flowing out into Hanley Industrial Court. So we liaisoned with the Public Works Department. They kept an eye on it and salted it overnight, and then additionally on Monday morning. But with that exception, that's all we did. So for a storm of this size, and again with 2 rounds of snow coming, we commend Public Works for what they were able to do. We had no issues accessing anything. I think we dodged the bullet with the storm as well.
Very much.
Very welcome.
Any questions? Okay.
Dan?
You're from Dan?
Yeah.
All right. Wish I had like a round of applause or something button that I could play.
I try to include a bunch of general things in our report. So as everyone else has mentioned, the storm came in 2 waves, Saturday and Sunday. I know we received probably between 9 and 10 inches of snow. I know the official count, I think, was like 9.5 in Richmond Heights. And then we split up in shifts like we always do. So you've got an A crew and a B crew. They work up to 12 hours and then just alternate. So we started Saturday around 10:30 before the storm hit, and then just kept cycling every 7 a.m., 7 p.m., all the way through Monday. Tuesday, yesterday, we returned to normal, so 7 a.m. to 3:30. I'd like to say it was normal, but kind of sort of not, because we didn't do trash on Monday, so we did trash for Brentwood Forest and recycling on Tuesday, and then we did Ward 1 recycling, but we had 2 staff out for sanitation, so we just floated 2 people from Public Works. Parks gave us some of their folks, so we're still able to run trucks. So listed in here, we have, it should be normally 20, but we only had 19, and then those shifts consist of 6 drivers, a mechanic, and then 3 sidewalk, and then a support person that floats around in case somebody has to come back, take a break. The 6 drivers are assigned specific routes, so we have A, B, C, D, and then east, west that would do like alleys and smaller areas, and then parking lots and sidewalks like around here by the library, post office, that sort of area, and over at the rec center, police, fire. I know we've mentioned it before, there's 44 lane miles in Brentwood, and then of course we have multiple parking lots, different buildings to take care of. And then going through our challenges, it's this way all the time, especially with a heavier snowfall. This intensified Sunday and didn't let up until about midday on Sunday. And they had been running shifts throughout the day, clearing snow, and then finally when it stops, then they're able to make some significant progress. Instead of having the snow cover roads that were just scraped clean, we were able to push the majority of that over to the sides. Some of those challenges, of course, would be narrow roads, people parked in the street even though we asked that they move, and then low visibility. I know a couple times it was like storming fairly significantly, so it's hard to see, especially at night. And then, of course, as the chiefs mentioned, you had extremely low temperatures. So salt typically doesn't work once it's 15 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. So we just kind of have to wait for the salt to work, which it did help that Monday had some sun. So between the sun and the salt that we already put down, we were able to chip through most everything. Tuesday, I know we went through, ran all the routes, and then today we're just picking up piles and moving them and spreading them out so that they'll melt. So I know that crews were out pretty much every street, especially the cul-de-sacs, since people have finally moved off street parking and moved, I guess, either go to work, school, whatever. So that allowed us to clean a lot better. Some of the other stuff we did coordination-wise, we had a meeting Friday, all the department heads with the city administrator. Then we convened again on Sunday around 5 p.m. to figure out whether Public Works would have everything ready, City Hall opens, doesn't open, rec center, so on and so forth. Under finance operations, I just listed, even though we're only 2 square miles, these are the odometer readings from your different trucks. So like your bigger trucks that do pretty big routes like 57, 53, you've got an odometer reading of several hundred miles just on Saturday, Sunday because of the number of passes that they have to do. Then I included some pictures of trucks. I'm sure you saw them out there. I mean, you've got basically a small truck and a big truck. The small truck I wouldn't consider small. It's at least a 1 ton. It has a salt spreader on the back. It has about an 8.5 foot wide plow blade on the front. Bigger truck would be your 2 ton and up. Those have a 9 foot blade, a much bigger spreader, bigger payload. And then as way of comparison, I just took a picture of them sitting side by side. So you can see the smaller one, it's a little bit easier to maneuver on some of those dead-end streets, whether it's Mary Kay, Douglas, anything along Salem. Some of the challenges would also be your dead ends, whether it's Lewis or the dead ends of Salem, trying to get maneuvered around and then push snow back out. Then, of course, when we clear snow on the side streets, then the county pushes it right back on the side streets, and now it's just a big circular movement of snow. We did have a blinker sign. It's that pedestrian flashing sign that was over where County Blue used to be. Somebody hit it and broke the solar collector on it. The sign, I think, is salvageable. The post is completely bent. They did not rip it out of the ground. It bent it completely over, so it had to be something fairly decent sized. We didn't see any tire tracks or anything. I said, well, we'll keep the parts we can. We have an extra one back at the shop, so I'm not going to do a claim or anything. I'll just keep what we have for parts. And then I included some photos in here. You can kind of see where I took them yesterday morning. So like Fawn, his car still parked. It had been there, I'm sure, since Saturday because nothing had been cleaned off. A lot of these vehicles have since moved, either late yesterday or beginning of today. I know this truck that was pictured on Cecilia, it's moved, so we were able to clean more snow. And then surprisingly, like some streets I figured would have a lot of snow just because they're narrow and people usually park on them. But Eulalie, between Mary and Brentwood Boulevard, it was fairly clear as you see in the photo. That was yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, some other cars parked on Pine that were snowed in. And then lastly on Madge and then Annalee, we pushed more snow around, but it was still stuck to the pavement. We added a lot more salt to it, let it sit, and then a combination of sunlight allowed it to loosen. And then we ran 3 crews, kind of like MoDOT, where we stagger them, and just pushed everything out. And then you can see the after shot, and that got it right down to the bare pavement. That's pretty much it, if you got any questions.
Thank you. Anybody in the committee have questions? Yeah.
Question, I noticed a complaint or a post of, I guess, maybe a business that had moved a pile onto in the middle of Brentwood Boulevard.
I saw that today, like closer to like the repair place, like
Yeah.
near Pendleton, like where it comes
Correct,
out. It looks
yeah.
like they just pushed the whole parking lot out into the center lane. of
Into the
Brentwood
center
Boulevard.
lane, and have we had that a problem before? How do we handle that? That's obviously, we don't clear Brentwood Boulevard.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we can alert the county of it. I saw it today when I drove by because I took a loop through like Brazos, Pendleton, where there were some piles near intersections. We knocked those down. But I thought, well, if that thing freezes, I mean, if somebody doesn't see it and strikes it, it's about, I don't know, would you say 2,
3 feet
tall?
high, yeah, and like I
Because
said,
when we clear
right
our
in the middle
parking
of the
lot, we
center lane.
stack it in the corners and don't push it out onto Manchester because we wouldn't want that,
Right.
to do that to MoDOT, and it would cause an accident anyways.
So I don't know if we can identify who was doing that. Maybe the business doesn't even know that whoever they hired did that, and then it's also not our jurisdiction to clear Brentwood Boulevard, so then we have to get the county involved. So I don't know, just something to look into for future snowstorms.
Yeah, I can at least alert the county, give them the approximate address and just ask them to clear it, see if they can push that off.
But we'll follow up with the business just to make sure that they know in the future, if it's their snowplow, you know,
Whoever they hire.
that did it, that they don't do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other complaint we got was along Manchester. When the state runs their route, they keep pushing it to the right, and then it shoots it over the sidewalks and into the driveways. And a lot of those businesses are fairly close.
Right.
But we don't have any ability to tell them what to do with it, and I don't know where they're supposed to go with it, honestly.
Right. Right. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yes.
This has nothing to do with the snow, but right before I came, we had a big water main break on North Swan. I mean, it is flooding like you can't believe. And so, I mean, will the street people come back out and put salt down when the water stops?
I can have our folks put salt on it, assuming that
I
the
mean, we're
water
a
main
couple
break
inches.
stopped.
I mean, we had to move the cars and everything. It was going up over the curb, and so I just want to alert you to the fact that there's
What's the approximate address?
North Swan between Brentwood and high school.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's close
in front
enough.
of my house.
Yeah, we'll look for the shiny surface, because I'm sure there's water.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Chief? Joe?
I'd like to start with a couple recent cases, two of which you heard about at the board meeting last week, so I won't go into them at length. I just wanted to hit on them. The mobile case from 113 where Corporal Hopler got a flock hit, and he and Officer Slattery attempted to stop a vehicle, and that car hit Hopler, and Slattery ended up in the front seat of the suspect's car with him as he fled out onto Brentwood Boulevard. A lot of bad things could have come out of that case, but they didn't. That guy's being held on a $100,000 bond for the possession of the weapon, the drugs, felony fleeing, and for assaulting a police officer. So that was a good case during this time. Another case that happened since the last time we met was on 114 of 26 at the YMCA. That was a incident where a guy threatened the YMCA employees, the kids, and his prior girlfriend. Some of which was recovered by the detectives from his phone. And they had witnesses at the YMCA that were able to provide information to the officers. This was also an award that was given last week, and it was really hinged on the fact that Officer Husidich, who received that call, recognized exactly what he was dealing with. And the Bureau guys took that and ran with it, did a search warrant at midnight that night, and got his gun and got his phone and some other things. He's being held on a $250,000 bond at this point. A couple other kind of interesting cases in this period. On the 15th of January, we received a complaint from a woman who said that her debit card was used at Nordstrom Rack, but she was holding her debit card. So this is a kind of an unusual case for us, but somebody's got the ability, obviously, to clone debit cards. They obtained her information, her name, and her exact credit card, and our debit card, and it was a debit card. They're reproducing it. And they went in and bought, a couple $100 worth of stuff at Nordstrom, and then it got declined as she was leaving. So we were able to identify her. She was arrested this week, part of an organized group that's doing this throughout the St. Louis area. So I'm going to talk about our overall crime reduction in Brentwood for the year in a minute, but this is an example of the kind of thing that is, some of this is why our retail theft crime is really a challenge for us, because these organized groups do a really good job of coming into our stores and defrauding the people that, all of us that are sitting there with our cards in our hands. That the suspect in that case is being held on a $10,000 bond at county jail as we speak. The last one was a case that happened on the 20th, and this was a domestic case that resulted in felony warrants being issued for a student down in Southwest Missouri State, or Missouri State, as they call it now. And we had a group of officers that went down there last night. It took them a while to find this guy, but they located him and arrested him, brought him back to our area to face the warrant that the judge issued on him. So these cases that, in years gone by, some of these cases where people made threats, while they were taken serious by law enforcement, they weren't necessarily ending up in strong prosecutions. That's not the case anymore. If you're going to go online and make threats against people, our county, St. Louis County Circuit Court's taking these things very seriously, and so are the judges, which is a good thing. So, I was going to move on. If anybody any questions about recent crime, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, I'd like to talk a minute about a comparison of the 2025 year-end crime as opposed to some years prior. We were down about 21% reduction in crime in 2025 over 2024. So for us, that represents about 80 offenses less than we had. You guys know that much of our crime's driven by retail theft. So, but just to scope that for you, out of 326 crimes, over 250 of them were thefts that occurred in retail areas. So obviously that's a priority for us for several reasons, one of which is the tax base that we rely on in this city is right there. So protecting it is very important, but it's also important to protect the stores so that they have viability, and all of us that shop in these areas so that we don't become victims of their fraud as well. We were down 55 larcenies, even though we had over 250 thefts. That was still minus 55 from the year before. So there is some hope in kind of disconnecting some of this. We really kind of got it separated between those that come in and steal their lunch and those that are in here really with what I would call more of an organized approach to theft. And both of them drive the crime, but they are different in that who's doing them and the volume that they're capable of doing and the amount that they steal. So, but we deal with both really those kind of thieves. The prosecution of chronic thieves is better. I think the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office is doing they're doing a good job with the stealing fourth. So what that means is if you've got 3 prior convictions for theft in municipal court, they can charge you with a felony in state court. And they're willing to do that if we can provide the information for them. So that helps when we start looking at driving down these retail theft crimes. The other area that I was going to speak to was our reduction in car crime. And just to give you a little perspective on that, go back to 2020. So about 5 years ago, we had 169 car-related crimes in Brentwood. That's a lot for a town our size. This year, or past year, in 25, we had 62. I was always one of these people because I've been doing this a long time with numbers and crime and explanations of what is going well, what isn't going well. One of the things you got to really look at when you look at any number when it goes to crime is what are you really looking at? Just as an example, we had 21 stolen cars reported. Some of those were failure to return rentals. Some of them were trailers. So there was some, you look at it on face value and you say we had 21 stolen cars, which, by the way, is very low for a year. But there's still some fudging in the numbers there also if you take a really hard look at the numbers. So the long story short on car crime is we're doing very well, much better than we were a few years ago. Some of that's got to do with our officers and their ability to be able to run these guys out of town. Some of that's got to do with prosecution, and a lot of it's got to do with the changeover in the city with juvenile crime and other things. So there's multiple things I think that are affecting our car crime, all of which are positive as we go into 26. We're hoping that it continues to go down. Couple of just, I guess, kind of interesting. They were to me. When does most our crime occur? I would have thought Saturday would be our highlight day because of retail theft. It's actually Tuesday, and it's not even really close. Tuesday and Wednesday are the high days for crime in Brentwood. That's all crime, but of course, we're driven by retail crime. So not too surprising, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. are the highlighted hours. We kind of knew this, and one of the things that we're doing in 26 is really emphasizing our retail detective be in our retail areas and at those times and in those days. So Amber Hawkins has been directed to go into those areas and stay in those areas during those high crime days and high crime hours. So she will have a visibility there consistently going forward. In 2025, when we looked at our flock alerts, and again, you start looking at what has helped us with crime, these flock cameras definitely are an assist to us. First of all, the bad guys know about them now. They're pretty well known amongst them as they move around to try and do the things that they do. Well, that's helpful to us. You know, when they know our area is saturated with flock cameras, it makes it more of a challenge for the bad guys to come in and do what they do. Out of the 123 flock hits that we had last year, the lion's share of them were for felony wanteds, so things like felony fleeings, thefts, things like that, and stolen autos. So it's particularly good on fresh stolen autos. Sometimes they'll switch the plates after they've had the car for a couple days. But on a day or two out, they're usually too lazy to switch the plates. So we get a crack at them pretty frequently with the stolen cars. So that flock program generally that the city spent money on at the police department's request is really, it's helped us a lot. It's been successful. To give you a little idea of the 2025 traffic detail numbers. So we had Corporal Hopler started in September, and he was dedicated. We asked Bola to promote an additional corporal, which he approved. Brian took that over. He's got parks and traffic. So every day he's in our parks and every day he's on the streets running traffic. So it's really helped us, especially having a supervisor that we can farm things out to as you guys bring us issues in your neighborhoods. Brian's a really good resource to be able to help us with traffic issues and things like that. Last year, total tickets written were 1,287 moving violations. So just to give you a little perspective on that, in 2024, we had 596 tickets written. So better than double the number with Hopler driving that, and that was really only in about a 5-month period. But included in that was also 572 warnings that were given by him and other officers. So there's still discretion built into this process. So we're really happy with the direction that Brian's taken, what we're expectations were for traffic. We had a vehicle purchase that you guys saw. It was on the board meeting last week. Major Sullivan, who you probably hear from a little later, is responsible for that as our administrative major. This year, he opted and I approved the purchase of a 2026 Ford F-150 pickup truck. It's police rated, it's pursuit rated vehicle, but it also gives us an opportunity to use that vehicle during the year for different things like moving signs around, doing our officer safety program. There's things that we will be able to use a pickup truck for. Inclement weather would be another one. So that'll be the sole vehicle that we purchase, and then we're getting rid of an old patrol car here soon. Quick update on the electric vehicle that was placed into service. Brian Hopler, the traffic guy, has been driving that car exclusively. We wanted to see how it worked with Brian driving it, pushing it 8 hours a day, every day. Overall, he's happy with the car, loves the performance of it and how it drives. We did have some issues with this cold weather, though. Charging it was a challenge. So I really think that it's, as the city of Brentwood looks at electric vehicles and their potential for use, I think it's important that we look at what effect that super cold weather had on that car. I can share the memo. I gave it to Bola. One night it only charged up to 16% on one really cold night. So that's a challenge, especially if you had all patrol vehicles were electric cars. You can imagine we might be riding bikes that next day. So especially when it's 3 degrees. So it'll be interesting to see the dead heat of summer, how it affects that car as well. I don't know. They say that heat can affect the battery performance as well. Overall, the car has been successful, and it's a really good car. It's maneuverable. It's great for what he does in his traffic job. I am a little concerned going forward, looking at that cold weather, because it's something we deal with. So.
That report will be uploaded to the agenda so you can refresh and you'll have access to it.
Great, thank you.
Our kitchen update was approved. As you know, we used half of it was asset forfeiture. The other half came out of Dan's budget for our kitchen. It's completed, new counters and cabinets that were 25 years old. So it's nice to have something fresh in the kitchen where everybody eats every day. So just a quick update on the area task force. Brentwood is part of a multi-agency task force. There's probably 30 or 40 cities in it now. They go out 6 to 8 times a year, depending on weather. This one got canceled. They had one scheduled this week. That's canceled now. So we typically send out a two-man car, 2-officer car, to be part of the process and they ride the entire St. Louis County area. St. Louis County Police do the supervision of it, and it's all of the dispatching comes out of St. Louis County. So they're part of that task force on a regular basis. What else did I have for you? I think that's it. If anybody had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Try to.
Thank you, Chief, very
Yes,
much.
sir.
Good evening. Pleasure to present in person this month instead of over the phone in the lobby of the hotel in Florida. So first, the monthly update. The vacancies that former Chief Cottrell and a resignation of firefighter paramedic Cosmas created, those have all been filled now. So obviously you appointed me as a fire chief. I have newly appointed Assistant Chief Herman with me here this evening. And then to fill his spot, Seth Carey was promoted from our eligible lieutenants list to that. So now we just have 2 firefighter openings, which we are actively testing for, which is part 2 here. We tested 14 individuals last Thursday and Saturday morning. We got the last test group out just as the snowflakes started falling. So 14 out of 16 tested. 1 took a job before they even tested, and another one got called in to work for the snow event. Doesn't work around here, but so they were not able to test as well. The results are pending. We had to send them up to Chicago, so the standardized testing, we're still awaiting results from that. Assistant Chief Herman graded the paramedic tests, so Tangela has those in the spreadsheet, and we're just awaiting results, and then we'll start moving forward. There is one other phase to this, and it's an oral interview and a medical practical, and we anticipate running that in 1 day, and hopefully to have a conditional offer by the end of the month. So that we're moving pretty quick on that. Based off of our experience from last time, we lost 4 or 5 candidates off of our hiring list because our process was taking a little bit too long. So Ronnie and I condensed it last time. So we're able to run 13 through in a day, and we can get offers before we lose the talent someplace else. For training update, Lieutenant Chavez and BC Hildebrandt drove up to the Chicago area on Friday to see the modular components for the training tower. So those look good. As I reported at the Ward 3 meeting last night, there was one issue with the door frames and the doors. Those numbers were reversed. They'll be unreversed by the time we get our stuff delivered. We are still on track for probably a late March delivery. Assembly components will go pretty quick, and we'll probably be in that tower by April, towards the end of April, first part of May. So once we get that up and running, we'll have an event, invite everybody down and take a walk through. It's going to be good for all the agencies. The fire engine update. We're going to be going up to Appleton, Wisconsin, February 8th through 10th to do the final inspection on the truck. Then we'll authorize it for release. Pierce will drive it down to the St. Louis area to the local Pierce vendor, which is McQueen. They'll do a couple of inspections, final detailing, install the radio and the computer, and then we'll go through internal training, hopefully maybe by end of March, first week of April, we should have that truck in service. That's the goal. We'll see what happens. As reported earlier, our winter storm operations, for the amount of snow we had, we didn't do that much, and no damages to any equipment. Also included at your positions are the monthly stats that we give bullet in the weekly report. There was probably about a 6% increase in predicted calls that we should have run for 25 to what we actually ran, and we're running right at about 60% of those being EMS related. And I know in the previous weekly reports, I told you we are going through a new FEMA nearest reporting platform. That thing is they're still working some of the bugs out of it, particularly with our ESL stuff. So I promise you, once I'm able to download a CSV with raw call data, I will get you the performance measures that you're used to seeing. But so far, so good. Everything's getting transferred. It's just we're not able to manipulate the data like I'm used to do it in the old side. So that's the monthly update from the fire department. I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions.
Do you have any questions from the committee? Thank you very much, Chief.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Dan, do you have more to report? Okay.
Regarding the street lights, there's several different locations that we're aware that we have issues. I know the electrician looked at the cabinet that's on the north side of Manchester near Dorothy. The total cabinet has to be replaced. We routed the CRA for approval. And he said the lead time's around 5 months. So whenever we get that, it'll be fully rebuilt and we'll be able to pull the wires and get that thing restored so that those decorative lights work again on that north side. There's 4 lights that are close to what used to be the Circle K gas station on the north side of Manchester. That actually needs new conduit and wiring. Someone severed the underground feed to the lights, and he said rather than try to find the break in it, it's easier just to go ahead and put a new conduit in, wire it back up. We'll have to wait for the demolition contractor, the Circle K. I know the canopy and that they're doing demolition on, so it's basically in the same footprint we need to be. But I don't think that's going to take too long. So sometime in February, I'm hoping to get them back out there. And then there was a street light. It was the bulb on the south side of Strassner near what used to be the switching post. That one's restored. It's close to the Metrolink. It's probably like a 20-foot tall light. And then McKnight, we were given an update from TAPCO. It looks like everything should ship on February 12th. Whenever we get that confirmation, then we'll rent a lift or a bucket truck. Either one is fine. So we can do that work over in McKnight. We still need to hand out those postcards for the solar light survey. That would be at Mary Kay and Douglas. Originally, those were supposed to be like an Ameren light, but I think the solar is the way to go. We just have to see if the folks approve it. Sidewalk cutting, they got quite a bit done in Brentwood Forest, but then the weather turned on us. They're expecting mid to late February the snow has to clear. But I know that they did do work on several streets, Wrenwood and Swan Circle. And then the last one, this no turn on red, it was brought to our attention that Table 7A, where right turns on red are prohibited. There's some references that were the previous I-64. If you recall, I don't know when it was, somewhere, I'm guessing 07, 08 to maybe 2010, I-64 was reconfigured. So like these references of like Highway 40 eastbound off-ramp on the Eager Road, that doesn't exist. Highway 40 eastbound off-ramp on the Hanley Road, and the other reference there at Hanley Road southbound on the Eager. So we need to get those removed from the code. The other ones are still fine. I'll just have to work with the city attorney and bring that back to the board.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is number 7. I believe it's the consent agenda. It contains the minutes from the meeting January 7th. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder.
Yes.
Alderman Pluska.
Yes, thank you. Under old business, number 8, we have the e-bike, mini bikes, motorized scooters, and the motorized, the ordinance that's been proposed. I was thinking that what we should do is go through just the general categories and see where people have questions or recommendations, and then we can see what there are specific questions about or specific concerns. I had it broken down as to, in the categories of change, as being the age and license restrictions, penalty to parents is a new thing, and then really the third thing I had, not four, is time and place restrictions for the various things that have been defined. Has the committee, anybody going through the ordinance as it's being proposed, do they have any questions or concerns regarding the age and license restrictions? No?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to comment. I appreciated the memo and the diagram. That really helped me with my comprehension of that
I agree.
ordinance. So,
I agree
again, I can tell a
100%.
lot of work went into that. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
You bet, I can agree 100%. And then with regard to the notion of penalty to parents, as I understand it, and Officer Sullivan, can you, I mean, as I understand it, the way it's written, it is an option of the officer who comes across an underage operator that the parents can be cited, but the citation is nothing more than it is a citation. It is just for the purposes of, if it happens more than once, it can be, accumulated?
My understanding of it was a summons to court.
Okay.
As a traffic essentially to Brentwood Court, summons to court for allowing a juvenile to violate this ordinance.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody, I just didn't know if anybody had any, I know since it was new, I just wanted to bring it up as a topic. And are there anybody had any concerns about it or questions about it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't have, I mean, I personally am fine with it, but I just wanted to make sure we brought it up as a topic of conversation. The last and the one that I think is we're gonna have some conversation about has to do with the time and place restrictions. There's this chart, which I agree is really helpful. I have a couple of concerns, so I'll just start this off and then we can talk about it more. So section 375.090, subsection D, talks about the use of bicycles and electric bikes on paved sidewalks. And it was my understanding that electric bikes 1 and 2, electric MTDs and EPA MDs and non-motorized alternative vehicles can be operated on the sidewalks, but not classification 3 of the e-bikes.
Correct, and not only class 3 of the e-bikes,
Yeah, class 3.
and also anything classified under motorized alternative vehicle, because it's not included
Right.
in D.
No, I understand that, but do you think that there should be added, after it says electric bicycles, should it be in parentheses 1 and 2? Because it sort of suggests that all electric bikes.
Okay, because then class 3 is not allowed on your sidewalks.
Right, right. So that 1 and 2 may be operated on paved sidewalks, but that 3 cannot.
Okay.
That was my understanding as the intent, and I just thought it was ambiguous the way it was written as to whether it meant electric bikes, it meant all classifications of electric bikes. And the only other thing that I saw in here that caused me some question, it has to do with the chart, actually, and I don't know whether the chart is actually synced up to the ordinance itself, but I will tell you, I find it useful, and I was thinking, is there a way that we can make this an appendix or some kind of an attachment to the ordinance, right?
I think there is.
Okay, I mean, I would like to, and the only one I had a question about was the classification of motorized alternative vehicles operated with a valid driver's license. This chart seems to say that those are okay on sidewalks, but I don't think that's the intention.
Correct, I
the-
agree. So
and
I'm
then-
not sure, because even my chart was a little different from yours, because I had blank spaces in mine.
Right, I saw that. And then
Up to debate.
the Razor mini bike pocket motorbikes electric, they're also looking like they're allowed on sidewalks, and I think was not intended.
Right.
But,
Mine looks like there's blank spaces, so
Right.
that was, like, is that just to the discretion of the officer at that point, or?
No, what I think, if I want to speak for Jim, I think he may have left those blank to have that open for discussion on if we were going to change this ordinance at all through the legislative process.
I tried to give him a call. I know he's in Wentzville tonight. I was not able to get through to him, so I don't know what that meant either. But does anybody else have any other comments or questions? Overall, I was really happy with how thorough this whole thing is, and I also really, I like personally the flexibility of it. I mean, it says may quite a bit, which I like. I mean, I would rather give officers who are enforcing this, I would rather give them some power and control to be able to assess a situation and decide how to conduct themselves rather than shall or, us sort of dictating to them how they should respond. Would there be some way that you could talk to Jim just about the chart itself and about that one section with regard to the 1 and 2? Because beyond that, I'm prepared to hear a motion that we present this to the whole board for consideration. Okay.
Alderman Plufkin?
Yeah.
We can also ask Jim about, I was with you on that citation term that's in there. That could mean different things. I would prefer that be a summons.
Okay.
In the ordinance. That way we were clear that the parent could get a summons.
And the other thing, and this isn't necessarily something we need to bring up tonight or talk about or decide tonight, but it seems to me as it goes to the full board for consideration, one of the things we're going to have to do, that assuming this passes, we're going to have to do something with regard to getting the word out. And I don't know what exactly that would be, but maybe that's something the communications committee can help us with in terms of putting together brochure information, signage,
Right.
Whatever.
School district.
Right, because we're going to have to notify schools.
Yes.
Right.
I think in preparation for a conversation at the board level, maybe Michelle can put together a strategy
Yeah,
to say
ahead of
this
time.
is.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know that, it's not a policy discussion, but so I don't know that it needs to go to the communications
No,
committee.
I think she can handle it, and it will be part of, and she'll talk to the police department, and
We already had some conversations
Okay.
around the SRO being infused in that
Right.
process.
Great.
she'll bring
using
something forward.
schools.
The
That's a
schools
great
have
idea, yeah.
signs on there, no e-bikes and
Oh, already they do? Okay. Yeah, I'll convey that to her.
Okay. All right, well, with that in mind, I would entertain a motion to recommend this ordinance or bill to be considered by the full Board of Aldermen.
So moved.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
The only thing I would add is in this chart, that we've got the stand-on motorized scooters. Does that column or does that row include like the one wheel and the motorized skateboards, those type of things? Because again, I don't know, we see people riding them around on the trails and in the parks, and I don't know that I have an issue with that. On principle, it's kind of where they should be allowed. It's just it's the major streets and intersections that become concerning. So I would want to make sure that, again, in the chart or in the ordinance, that's clarified.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. And I do think by my read of it, I think it would include what you described.
I think so too, but I just make sure.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder.
yes.
Alderman Pluska.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. We have new business in front of us having to do with participation in the Missouri Ground Emergency. What is that? It cuts off at the end. I don't know.
Yeah,
Medical
ground emergency
transport.
medical transport.
Medical transport, right.
So
okay.
this is essentially, this is a new update to the contract that we signed earlier in the year before I took over. In '25, I believe, GEMT asked us to do an audit We went through a bunch of data for them, and then we re-signed the contract. Since that time, the percentage of collections has changed. So there's an amendment at your positions, the unexecuted, which outlines this. So essentially, we've been participating in GEMT since 2019, and this essentially provides some payback from the state for Medicaid patients that we transport. Right now, before this, it was a 15% off the top for every call. So if you had medical insurance, if you were a resident and we took you to the hospital, we would bill the insurance company and we would take whatever the reimbursement was right off the rest. If you were a non-resident, we would collect what we could from the insurance, and then for the administration fees for all of that, for both sides of the program, it was 15%. Now with the changes in Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement, now they have reduced the collection percentage to 12% for fee-for-service runs, and then they've added a 9% collection for managed care organizations, which is Medicaid and potentially managed care Medicare. It's very convoluted and complicated.
Does that change in the percentage collection doesn't cause you to want to change our participation in the program?
No, they're just notifying us that, hey, we are going to be collecting less on fee-for-service. Based off the conversation I had with the previous chief, we think it's going to be a wash because we're not being charged as much on the 12% side, but then we're going to turn around and probably give some of it back on the 9% side from the managed care organizations. Chief Herman, who is our medical officer, is on top of that. So until we start actually getting some collections and seeing where the break is, right now we can't give you a projection of what it will or won't be. We just know that we're continuing with the program and we will get reimbursed for the calls. It's just the fee that they charge us to do that will change. And that's essentially what the unexecuted resolution and the contract is. The amendment is to say, yes, we're going to change the percentage.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the chief? With that in mind, can I get a motion to continue participation in the Missouri Ground Emergency Medical Transportation Reimbursement Program for the year 2025 and authorize the updated fee schedules as noted in the amended agreement?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder.
Yes.
Alderman Plufka.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We come to the last opportunity for citizen comments. Thank you, Chief.
Thank
You didn't have anything else, did you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
There's a resolution attached to that. I don't know how the resolution.
It'll be presented to the board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Perfect. So we'll chat again.
Okay, thank you, Chief. This is our second and final opportunity in this meeting for citizens who wish to make a comment to this committee on any issue involving public safety. If you come forward, either in the room here or electronically, you'll be recognized for up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourselves with your name and your address.
I don't have anyone online.
That's disappointing. With that, I will close citizen comments, and seeing no other items on the agenda, I will tell you that this meeting is adjourned.